chat room, Afyon, Bisola, St. Charles, Choice Galaxy, and just a few to mention. I also want to thank you, my wonderful speakers, my very, very, very big aunties. Thank you so much, Mrs. Funka Kirimande. Thank you so much, Mrs. Chinyere Okorocha, and thank you so much, Dr. Chineye Waneri. So we put together this event tagged Women in Leadership, Navigating Challenges and Achieving Success, in line with the theme for this year's International Women's Day, and it's called Embrace Equity. So in a few minutes, we'll have the different speakers have 15 minutes each to share on this topic and marry it side by side with embracing equity. Why did we choose this topic? Because we believe that every woman has been called to lead, but because of some social cultural stereotypes, limiting beliefs and perspectives, some people feel like they should just operate behind the back scene. We believe that at every point in your journey, whether you are coming in as an entry staff or you are a mother or you are in whatever industry it is, you owe it to yourself and to your nation as a leader. So at the end of this meeting, we would want to have achieved the goal of encouraging you, motivating you to dare to lead regardless of where you find yourself. So thank you so much. Amarachi will be our moderator for this evening, and I'm very, very sure she'll do a very fine job. Thank you so much. Get your journals, and I pray and hope that you listen to what is being said and you catch what is being said. Thank you so much.
There'll be another one then.
Okay, can somebody mute? Thank you so much for showing up. And I also want to say that you can actually share the links, even right now you're on the call, to your friends and your sisters that you believe should be in this room. Please share it to them so that can all come in. Thank you so much. Amarachi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zine. So without further ado, I would want to make welcome our first speaker for today. She is someone who I would say a woman of many parts. She's Chinyere. I would just read a profile, a brief profile, so we know who is in the room. She's a partner in a law firm of Jackson, Etty and Edu, and a top-tier firm headquartered in Lagos, Nigeria. And she has over 30 years of practical experience covering different aspects of law. There's a lot of emphasis in her practice on intellectual property law, where she's considered an authority in that field, and she's an expert. She's also a medical legal practitioner, and she heads a firm or different firms, health and pharmaceutical practice. She leads a leadership team of her firm, and she oversees strategic policies of the firm across sections of interest. And she's well respected in her field. She's notable in terms of the various appointments. She has been a vice chairperson in NBA. She's also led and she's also sat in the board of Women Forum, and she's a past member of the Council of Member Treasurer of the Nigerian Bar Association. I would say she's a woman of many parts. Time will fail us to read the profile of this amazing woman, and I'm so looking forward to hearing what she's going to unpack in 15 minutes. I don't know if there's anyone in the room who is so looking forward to what Mrs. Chinyere is going to be unpacking in her session today, and I don't even have a topic for it, so I'm just kind of looking forward to this. So without further ado, I want to make welcome Mrs. Chinyere Okorocha. There she is.
Are you okay?
Fantastic. Fantastic. Everyone is looking forward. We are waiting for the unveiling of our speaker. She'll be with us in a couple of minutes. Welcome. You're warmly welcome. Or you can mute. I can. Okay. Are you able to now?
Yes. Good
Fantastic.
Evening, everybody. Good evening, ladies.
We can
As you can see, thank you for having me. I'm just going to I forgot that I had a webinar not too long ago, and I have a backdrop that isn't your conference backdrop. So just allow me to remove that. Just give me a few minutes to remove the backdrop that is not yours. And then we can kick it off. Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody. How are we? I hope we're doing okay.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So who do we have in the room, ladies? Our entrepreneurs, lawyers, doctors. I would love to get a sense of who I have in the room. If you could let me know. And well done to the organizers for putting together such a stellar event. I'm very happy to be here. I can see doctors. Who else? Who else? That will help me know how to channel my thoughts. And lawyers are here, doctors are here, so female professionals, I think. A management consultant, beautiful lecturers. Oh, very diverse crowd. Okay, so like the introduction said, I've been a female professional for 32 years, actually. I think it says, and my goodness, it's like a lifetime to me. I don't know about you, but I feel so ancient, and, like when they read my profile, it does seem as if I've achieved quite a bit in my career. There are those that would say I've reached the pinnacle of my career, but left to me, I've still got a little bit more energy in me, and I have a couple of other things I want to do before I call it a day, career-wise. So what I want to share with you today is about leadership, really. That's what the theme is. And, trying to decide specifically the challenges and how to overcome those challenges as a woman. I think you guys actually gave me, yes, it says women in leadership, navigating challenges and achieving success. Yes. And so for me, even though it appears from the outside that I've got it all together, I am far from perfect. I always say it. I'm far from perfect. I'm still learning new things, even as the days pass, so it's very important as leaders, or as you go into leadership. Sorry, I can see, you see, I'm very feminine. That hair was sticking out of place. Yes. So we're women, and today is International Women's Day, and so I guess a 32-year-old career woman can impart knowledge into your lives about leadership, because yes, I have been in a couple of positions of leadership even through my career. And the very first thing I want to tell you about is the fact that leadership is a journey. It's not something that you just wake up one day and you're a leader. It takes a journey, and it takes working on yourself, even from the very beginning or start of your career to when you are actually invited to be a leader. And today we're talking about the International Women's Day, isn't it? It's all over the news, hashtag embrace equity, and as a leader, you come across situations where you're going to have to decide whether you're going to fall down and die because you feel people have, victimized you by reason of your gender, or whether you're going to forge ahead and move forward. So I have 10 points in the interest of time, 10 points that I've put down that will help you navigate leadership in your career. And starting from the very first point is that you don't know everything as a leader. And the best thing you can do for yourself is to recognize that you do not know all the answers, and then you rely on your team when you can. So you don't know it all. And leadership is actually being a servant. those that are in leadership who truly want to lead, you end up serving the collective. And until you can get to the place where you know that you're in a position of service and not to lord it over people, you'll never be a good leader. You become the leader that you're leading, but nobody is following. I'm sure you've seen that saying before. So it's very important that you recognize that without your team, you're not going to be leading anybody. So teamwork is the dream work, as they say. So learn to empower the people that work with you on a daily basis. Learn to trust that they can do it. They may make mistakes, but they can do it at the end of the day. Now, being a woman means that we come against certain cultural and societal stereotypical biases, as I call them, that hold us back. By the very fact that we're women, you're going to be at a disadvantage, no matter how you try. And we know that from time immemorial, it has been a man's world. And it being a man's world means that even though people say that there's equity, but equity actually means giving the right or the same type of resources to both the male and the female, but you must align it to the needs of each gender. So when you say you're being equitable and you give, let's say, I saw this thing on the internet that resonated with me in terms of trying to form the difference between equity and equality. So equity means being just and fairness. So if you had a man, his wife, and a child, and you gave all three of them one huge bicycle to ride, obviously the man can ride the bicycle, but the bicycle, when the woman stands on top of it, her legs don't reach the floor. And when the child stands on top of the bicycle, sits on the bicycle, the child falls off. So you have equitably given everybody a bicycle, but you didn't give them a bicycle that meets their needs, because the big bicycle, only the man can ride it. The child and the woman are at a disadvantage with the type of bicycle you've given them. But equity means that you give the man a large bicycle, you give the woman a medium-sized one, and you perhaps give the child a three-wheeler. That's what equity means. So when they say there's equity, and women and men are given the same resources, but you don't take into consideration the fact that the woman's makeup, biologically, sociologically, and otherwise, requires something to meet her at her point of need, or at the point, given all these other issues. That's where the challenge is. And that's what happens when the woman takes out 4 months to go on maternity leave. And during that period, the men who are her peers have moved ahead. By the time she comes back, she's looking for where to fit herself into in the organization, not necessarily law, because I'm a lawyer, and that's what I'm talking about. So that's it. So equity leads to equality, and that's where we want to get to. So there are two different things. Equality means being treated equally, but you can only be treated equally if we have embraced equity. For success. And the very first one is that it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. What did I say? I like interactive classes. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. It just has to be done. A lot of the time as female professionals, we're always striving for perfection. And sometimes it paralyzes us and doesn't allow us to move forward. But I'm telling you, 70–80%, of the way isn't bad. And I've had this discussion with my husband. I happen to be married. I know some of you may be, some may not be. And when you are, killing yourself to be perfection to everything, you kill yourself and become ill. So the truth of the matter is, when you encounter these challenges, recognize that if you can get to 70–80%, you're not doing badly. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Take it from me. So when you're on that leadership journey, take the wins, take the wins. Now, I also want to say point number 2, learn how to say no. Everybody type in no in the box, in the chat box. No. Women, we take on too many things at the same time. You understand? We just take on too much. This one I can do it. This one I can do it. This one I can do it. And sometimes it's because of that discrimination that exists. And you think that if you pile on the work, maybe it will be to your benefit. But it doesn't always work like that. I can tell you for free. So we must learn how to say no and don't take on everything that comes your way. The next point is that you need to ask for help if you need it. Asking for help is not a crime. And for a woman, this help means help in the workplace as well as help in your personal life. And I always say I cannot divorce my personal life from my professional life. The two go hand in hand because each one has the ability to affect the other. So in the workplace, rely on your team. When you're leading people, lead with empathy and rely on each other to bridge the gap when you can't make it, to go for that meeting when you need to go to a parents-teachers day, or if you're sick at home or ill at home, or your husband is ill and you need to take care of him, someone should be able to stand in for you. And in the home front, my husband is my biggest cheerleader. Who is yours? Have you employed the staff you need to help you be able to be that professional woman that you want to be? And you may not have the resources to hire a cook, a cleaner, a driver, a house help, a nanny. Then you bring in your mother-in-law, your junior sister, whatever it is. But no woman, there's no successful woman leader that I have seen that doesn't have a retinue of people that are their help, that they can lean on in times of need. Help can also come from friendship groups. Women, we like to gather together, but have the friendship group that tells you the truth, tells you off when you need to be told off. I call them cheerleaders. They cry with you when you want to cry, and they laugh with you when you have succeeded. And they hold you accountable to do the things you said you would do when you said you would do them. And if you mess up, they will tell you off. Your cheerleaders can also be men. Advocates who have your corner. I have some very strong male advocates who always speak for me when I'm not in the room. It's very important as female leaders that you have a retinue of people that I put under the heading of ask for help if you need it, or it's not a crime to ask for help. Male advocates, female cheerleaders, your spouse, you understand, and all the other stuff I've talked about. You can't do it on your own. The next one is that there must be boundaries set. You must learn to set boundaries at work and at play. At work and at home. I say at play, but I mean at home. I remember during the COVID-19 pandemic when we were all working virtually, and I was at home 24/7. And in my home now, I rushed home quickly from work because I didn't want to stay out too late. And if I had stayed in my office to have this Zoom meet up with you guys, I would now be heading back to my home in the traffic really late, and I didn't want that. So you can see I have a home office. I developed this space during the COVID-19 period, or should I say my husband developed this space for me actually. I used to sit on my dining table, and I traveled abroad at some point when they allow people to travel. By the time I came back, he had set up this place for me, to have my meetings, do my classes, do my training, you understand? So, but what happened was that because I was at home, every minute my children would come and be disturbing me. Every minute they'd be asking me how, domestic something. And I had to put this to it. I said, guys, I am at work. The fact that I'm home doesn't mean I'm home. I'm at work. You understand? So I had to set those boundaries. Just an example. And then at work, everybody knows that weekend is weekend for me, unless the sky is falling. I don't take work home. Do you understand? Unless it's an emergency. So you have to set those boundaries. You have to set those boundaries even at work so that they know, oh, she can't work beyond a certain time. Because once you give, you continue to give. That's the truth of the matter. The next one quickly, tell me how much time I have left. Prioritize your time effectively, ladies. Sometimes we're busy being productive, but are we productive on the things that move the needle? Are we productive on the things that will help enhance our careers and make us climb up the career ladder faster? So prioritize your time properly. Have red, amber, and green. Red is the things that must be done now. Yes. Amber are the ones that, you know, you've got a bit of leeway, and green, you can take your time, you know, so please do that. And utilize the power of delegation as a leader. If you haven't learned to delegate tasks to other people, you haven't started. You will become old before your time and get wrinkles. Please, please, please learn the power of delegation. Even if you haven't, so as a leader, you must build your team. I spoke at an event over the weekend, IWD event, and oh no, that was today. I had an interview with a newspaper. It will come out soon. And you know, one of the things was that I recognized that I had worked myself out of a job, because we're organizing a webinar in the workplace, in my office. And all of a sudden, anything I asked, they've done it. Anything I asked, they've done it. Anything I asked, I saw the emails going back and forth with the speakers and this and that and that. I mean, they just didn't need me. And so for me, it was a very eureka moment that, you know what, you've actually worked yourself out of a job, because on this transaction that they're doing, they don't need you, you know, and that's really the beauty of it. I read somewhere that a good leader works themselves out of a job, and I'm happy to say that that's the case in some instances with me. So please learn to delegate. Now, I talked about conducive workspace. I said it in passing, but it is actually a point. I think it's important that women, we surround ourselves with the things that, you know, lift our spirits, because your surroundings have the ability to make you either gloomy or, you know, uplift you into a happier mental state. So please take out time to make your surroundings more conducive. I love flowers. I like bright lights, you understand? I like girly things. And I created that at home and even in the workplace. So it's important that we try and do it. Now, another thing that we don't usually pay attention to is making time for you. Making time for you. You can't give from an empty cup. So a lot of the time, women, we don't take care of ourselves. It's terrible. We work and work and work ourselves to the ground, and at the end of the day, we fall sick. Or in some sad cases, it might lead to our death, and then before you know it, your husband has remarried. So what was it all about? Or in the workplace, you happen to, you know, pass, your job will be taken over the next day. The organization is not going to crumble because you're not there. So we must take time out to look after our health. Take a massage every now and then. Go on holiday if you can afford it. Holiday can be to just go down the road to your sister's house and let her house help, you know, feed you. It doesn't have to be exotic or going to the Maldives or something. And then, I don't know if I'm up to 10 yet, but 3 minutes more. Okay, thank you. You must communicate your needs. The people around you, what is that thing? Mind readers. A lot of the time as women, we kind of feel that, well, they should know. One of the times was holiday on a budget, absolutely. Even in the workplace, at some point, I never used to ask for anything. You know, and one of the partners much earlier in my career journey, they actually specifically asked me, why don't you ask for anything? And to me, I said, oh, I can ask. A lot of women, we just stay there, you know, we don't like to ask, we don't like to, you know, we tread carefully around things that we're entitled to, because maybe we fear backlash, or we don't want to be seen as pushy or forward. My dear, open your mouth and ask for the things you want. As a leader, if there are resources that you don't have, ask for them. Those resources can be human beings. It can be to outsource a certain aspect of what you're doing. It can be to bring in, more staff, or to divide your department, whatever it is. In the home place, if you need more support from your husband, ask. If you need more support from any of the helpers that we've identified, ask for help. If you don't ask, nobody knows. We shouldn't assume that people know that people can't read our minds, and we shouldn't take it for granted. So in conclusion, I think women make the best leaders. I think I am so much in support of women attaining the highest possible level in their careers. And I think it's very important that we equip ourselves properly in order to step into this leadership. And some of the points I've mentioned, my list is actually a list of 20. Maybe if we go into the panel session, I'll be able to give more examples. Or if I have any questions, I will give more examples of the things that have worked for me, because I spoke only about, some of the tips and tricks, but there are also things you need to do as a woman to put yourself in the position that will ensure that you climb up that career ladder, or that will ensure that when the opportunity arises in your organization, that you become the obvious choice to move up to leadership. And that's a conversation I would love to have with you guys also. But for now, that is it. With these few points of mine, I hope I have convinced and not confused you, as the saying goes, okay? Thank you for listening.
Wow, 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 wow. Amazing. I want to see some reaction on the chat. I want to see, you were dropping a lot of gems. A lot of them resonated with me. One of the things that you said for me that was so profound was, first of all, your distinction and how you were able to clarify what equity means and what equality means. And you said that there is no equality without equity. Amazing, amazing. The other thing is around perfection. And maybe because of my personality, I'm someone who is very keen on meeting things the way I left them. But you say it doesn't have to be perfect, but it only has to be done. Wow, amazing. Very simple and practical. Yes, I totally agree. And I must say, you're looking stunning. You're looking amazing. I can see all around you, your flowers and everything is all girly zone. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I am super pumped up for this. But I'm sure that Mrs. Chinyere, we would bring you back. We would definitely bring you back during the panel session. I just want to quickly introduce the second panelist. And thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, now let's get ready. I can see that we are all super charged, super pumped up, and I want to introduce our next person, our next speaker. She is an educator. Amazing. She is an educator par excellence, and she's got over 30 years of experience in the education sector. She has been in different spaces, and one of which is that she volunteered as a teacher with the British Council in Muscat, Oman, and that was as far back as 1996. She came back to Nigeria in 2004, and she established a Kiddies Pride Crèche and Nursery. And this is a nursery and a crèche based in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. And the aim of this is to nurture, I want to spotlight her so everyone can see her clearly. The aim of this is to nurture children in early years curriculum. So it's the EYFS curriculum. It then evolved into a Cedarwood School in 2006, where she has been providing the highest quality education. I haven't met this woman, but I've heard a lot about her school. I have never lived in Port Harcourt, Nigeria, but that's to tell you that your fame, or the fame of your school, is well traveled. And it's very phenomenal that she's also gone as far as establishing Cassia School in Lekki in 2019. And this is where learners are raised as global citizens who value education as a tool to change the world whilst developing good character as a bedrock to sustaining global change. Now, I want to say that she believes in words of Nelson Mandela, and that's a quote that I want to read, and something that is very much the foundation upon which she's built her career. Education is the only weapon with which we can change the world. She has consistently poured herself into educating children and creating a platform for high flyers. I can go on and on and on and on, but she is a woman of many parts. She's got a first degree in international studies from Ahmadu Bello Universities as far back as 1991, and she's got a postgraduate diploma in education from Usman Danfodio University in 2008 in Sokoto. Mom, without further ado, guys, please, can you guys rave on the chat? I want to see you guys raving on the chat. I want you guys to warmly welcome Mrs. Funke Akinrimade. I hope I got that right. You're welcome, Mom.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm so honored to be here, and I can't even thank Dr. Ezine enough for this opportunity. And thank you, Ms. Okorocha.
Sorry for cutting you in, but your audio, I think it's a bit quiet. Not sure why it's so quiet. It's just the audio. The video is fine. It's fine, but we're getting... Yes, fantastic. Much better.
All right. Okay, so I just moved my... Okay, all right. So happy International Women's Day to everyone. The fact that you showed up today shows that you are the real MVP. So happy, so good to see you on this platform this evening. And I'm so delighted to be here this evening just to share my perspective of this journey of women leadership. I mean, I was talking to Dr. Ezine just a few minutes before we came on board, and I said, I'm coming from a different angle. But I'd like to thank Mrs. Chinyere for laying a good foundation for me, because she talked about that. She talked about the fact that leadership is a journey. Truly, leadership is a journey. And today we're looking at embracing equity as a theme for International Women's Day. However, you know, I want to come with a twist. And I said, how about us thinking about the fact that everything is provided for us? Are we able to close as women? You know, I was sharing with my husband just an hour ago to say that, you know, every International Women's Day, we keep pushing the boundary, we keep asking for more as women. We want equity, we want equality. And I like the fact that Mrs. Chinyere had talked about the fact that there's no equality without equity. And she has finally defined what equity is for us. And I would like to just ride on that, because I saw another post about equity, which kind of really resonated with me. You know, there was a picture of a family, a man, a woman, and their son, and they were looking above the fence. Now they were all standing on the same chair. So obviously the man could see because he was taller, right? So he was able to see above the fence. Now the woman was shorter, so not really see. And then of course their son was at a disadvantage, but because they were standing on the same chair. So that's not equity. That's, you know, that's equality. They provided the same chair, equal opportunity, right? But it's not taking into consideration the height of the different individuals. So equity is giving everybody the resources that's peculiar to their own makeup, so that we can all attain the same level of success as women. So I would like to say here that in my journey as a leader, as a woman leader, I see that women truly want to aspire, truly want to grow, women truly want to leverage, but I attacked what I think is limiting us. You know, I have 5 pointers to what limits women from, you know, flying as they ought to be. And that's the limiting beliefs that we have embraced as women. So I know Ms. Okorocha covered 1 or 2 points from what she talked about, but let's look at us. Let's put back the searchlight on us women. You know, every year we're talking about International Women's Day. Where were you last year? Just put in the chat box. If you look at yourself last year and compare where you are today, would you say you have made progress? Would you say that you have actually attained a level of leadership qualities as compared to where you were last year? Can you still hear me? I just want to be sure that I'm not speaking to myself. Can you hear me?
Sure, we can. We can, loud and clear.
All right. All right. Okay. So what are these limiting beliefs? What stops women? Because really, before we can keep pushing for equity or even equality, we want to be on the same pedestal with our male counterparts. What is limiting us as women? How are we showing up? And are we truly showing up? That's a question I'd like us to think about today. You know, even as we celebrate International Women's Day, how are you showing up? I think the very first limiting belief is fear. Women tend to be afraid, you know, the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of criticism. I think it holds us back as women. So even though someone like Mrs. Okorocha in her office, she's provided the same opportunity and she's recognizing the talent, but how are you embracing the opportunity before you? Are you doing it afraid? Are you stepping out of your comfort zone as a woman? That's food for thought. Most of us sit back and refuse to just do anything. I think that if you want to be a woman that's making a difference and that's leading with, you know, with conviction, then you need to step out of your comfort zone. So I'd like you to think about that. The second point, Mrs. Okorocha talked about it, is the idea of being perfect. I know that my coach will say, done is perfect when perfect is not done. I'll repeat it. Done is perfect when perfect is not done. That means just get on with it and you will learn on the job. And I would say that in my career journey as an educator, you know, I've mentored a lot of teachers, and I'm actually angry in my spirit that teachers are still very far back down the ladder when it comes to salary, recognition, and everything. And I'll say that without teachers, would there really be leaders? Teachers are the ones that provide the education, that support and help people discover their potentials. But teachers have been marginalized for a long time. And I realize that nobody's marginalizing anybody. It is the teachers that are not stepping up and, you know, bringing their value to the table, because they're not upgrading, they're not upscaling, and they're not taking the position that they rightly deserve. So part of the limiting beliefs for upscaling and for growth as leaders, as women leaders, is the fact that we stay in one place and make excuses. The soup is not cooked. I'm not ready. Oh, what if? What if? Guess what? I wouldn't be here if I didn't dare to stand up. My career started from just going to a classroom to volunteer. I read international relations. My dream was to become an ambassador. Well, I got married and I went on posting with my husband, and I was bored. So I walked into the school opposite my house and I volunteered. And 2 weeks into my working in that school, the head teacher looked at me and said, have you considered pursuing as a career? The rest is history. I'm here today because I dared to start small. I dared to show up. So how are you showing up? If you're demanding equity and you're demanding equality, are you ready? Are you upscaling? So that, you know, they say opportunity meets preparedness. How prepared are you? If today they were to give you the tools and the resources required, you know, to upskill and to compete with your male counterparts, would you say that you're ready? Think about that. Another limited belief that I think affects us as women, that's not allowing us, you know, to rise and fly, even though we have all the tools and all the resources, is the imposter syndrome. And you would be surprised to know that every leader, every female, let's talk about female leaders now, actually suffer from imposter syndrome. And what is imposter syndrome? It is the belief that one's success is undeserved or it's a result of luck. So we shy away from accepting our talent and embracing what we have done. You know, it's called humility. We're shy to, you know, come out and say, I did this. We do it, we're afraid to step out. Again, if you want to make an impact, if you want to be an impactful leader, then you have to deal with this imposter syndrome. And the only way to deal with it is to get on with it. Every time, if I were to ask Mrs. Okorocha, I know she's a seasoned leader and she has wealth of experience, but I can dare say that once in a while, she has butterfly in her stomach when she needs to speak. But she doesn't allow it to hold her back. Every time an opportunity is created for you as a woman, do you step up and say, I got this. I can do it afraid. I am a smart woman. You know, think about it in your organization or in your business, or even in a seminar like this. If Dr. Ozini was to ask, does anybody want to give a 5-minute speech? Most would think that they don't have what it takes to speak. Who says that? Who's putting the lead over your head? Who is saying that you don't have a voice? The only way to conquer imposter syndrome is to validate yourself, is to tell yourself that you deserve a seat at the table. And if there's no seat for you, bring your own seat. That's the only way you can upskill. And that limiting belief that, I think, number 4 points, that holds us back as women, that doesn't allow us, you know, to fly like our male counterparts, is a belief that we can't do it all. You can't have work-life balance. I like the fact that Mrs. Okorocha talked about the fact that her husband, you know, helped her do up her office at home. I'm sure she has communicated to her husband that she desires to pursue a career. Most women, I think it's our culture. I know people are dialing from different parts of the world, but I know the African culture, you know, puts us in the kitchen. But this is the 21st century. Are you still living in that space where you think you can have a family life and have a successful career? We need to wake up, guys. Ladies need to wake up. Yes, you can do it. Like we learned, you need to have a support system. That's how we do it. That's how it's done. You need to have conversations with your husband. You need to negotiate. You need to understand your negotiable and your non-negotiable. We all went to schools, for goodness sake. I mean, like, I'm an educator. Right now, in my school is nursery primary, so I look after children between ages 2 to 11. The girls tend to do well in the primary years, but as they climb the ladder to secondary, university, they tend to withdraw and feel that the boys are better. But that's not true. I think that we just need to believe that we have what it takes and we keep pushing through. So it is with our career and our business. You can negotiate. You can create a support system. Who is in your corner? Who's helping you so that you are not dropping any ball? Very important. Then, lastly, I want to talk about the fact that we need to have that spirit of delegation. I know that it was touched upon again. You know, we like to be superwoman. I can do everything. If I don't do this, then it cannot be done. That's not how to, you know, be a leader. A woman creates space for others. You know, when you climb up the ladder, you do not throw away the ladder. You allow other people to climb up. And the only way you can do that is to delegate. In my school, I talk about, you know, leadership at all levels. You know, most schools will have head of school, head of this, head of that. But I always tell my teachers, every single person, even the child, is a leader. So we must all, you know, delegate and give other people permission, to show up and to do what they need to do. I think that when we go into the panel session, we'll talk about navigating challenges and achieving success. I believe that if I hadn't said yes to myself, if I hadn't believed in myself, if I didn't wait, if I had waited for somebody to validate me, I won't be where I am today. But I gave myself permission to stand up, to say, I have what it takes to lead. I have the gifts and talents that the world can utilize. And that's my charge for you today. You need to rise up as women. You need to look at yourselves and identify those limiting beliefs. You need to deal with your limiting beliefs before you can upskill, so that when the opportunity is given, you can do what you need to do. So in conclusion, I will talk about the fact that we can scream and demand gender equity from now to forever, and nothing will shift. We all need to rise and recognize the power we carry. Step out of your comfort zone and say no to any limiting beliefs you have. You deserve a seat at the table. You deserve a seat at the table that your male counterparts are sitting. I will end with a quote by Dolly Parton. She says, if your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. The question is, do you believe you're one? Guys, ladies, rise up, embrace equity, and show up to be counted. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope that you will face your limiting beliefs.
Amazing, amazing. Please, I want to see some reactions. You said it, you kind of brought the icing on the cake. You kind of delved a little bit deeper. And there's so many things you've said now that are in themselves topics to be treated differently. I mean, one of the areas is imposter syndrome, which is one of the areas I'm so interested in. And one of the things that you said that resonates with me is that we are not super women. As African women, we want to do it all. We want to save the world. We create spaces for other women. So that means we multiply. So good. Thank you so much, Mrs. Fumi. It is so amazing. I mean, I would let you go and just, have a drink of water. We will bring you back during the panelist session. Thank you so much. And yes, I will. I'll be dropping the quotes on the chat. I will be dropping the quotes on the chat. Amazing, amazing. Thank you. Now, without further ado, I want to bring up our third speaker. How many of you are enjoying this? Just let me know. How many of you are enjoying this? This is just a wonderful way to enjoy my evening, my Women Day. With how many women do we have here? We have over 30 women. Wow, this is amazing. I am enjoying it. Now, I want to bring our third speaker. I don't know if our third speaker is here. Just trying to look on the chat to find if she, yeah, thank you guys for the reactions. Thank you. I am thoroughly enjoying these sessions. I'm thoroughly enjoying the sessions. Dr. Izine is our third. Oh, wow, our third speaker is here. She's showing up powerfully. Yes. So let me just introduce our third speaker, and I would spotlight her so we all can see her. She is Dr. Chinyere Nwaneri. She's an astute optometrist. I've heard a lot about you from Dr. Izine Okulehi, and she has over 35 years of dedicated service in optometry practice. She obtained her BSc in optometry from the University of Benin and Abia State University, Nigeria in 1988 and 1993, respectively. She's also the principal optometrist and managing director of OptiViewer, I hope I pronounced that right, I Limited, Port Harcourt. And she is the founder of Eyes on Africa Foundation, a philanthropic arm of her practice, which is dedicated to the provision of free and largely discounted eye care services to the undeserved, medical missions, as well as investigations for early detection of glaucoma in the rural areas. She's got quite a lot under her coffers. She's got a lot of qualifications, fellowship in public health optometry, fellow in America Academy of Optometry, certificate of project management methodology. There is a lot that this woman is involved in. She's also a member of the Glaucoma Society. And as per leadership, she has held different positions. She is the managing director and the principal optometrist of her eye clinic from 1998 up till date. And she is also the immediate past chairman of the Nigerian Optometrist Association, Rivers State. And she, before then, was the chairperson of My Sight, My Right public health team in Rivers State, amongst many others that she's done. She's actually overseen and she's chaired a lot of projects in the past, and time will fail me to read out everything. In fact, optometry to the world. Somebody just summarized it on the chat. And without further ado, I want to make welcome the amazing, beautiful, girly looking Dr. Chinyere Nwaneri. Wow. Over to you.
Wow, wow, wow. All those accolades for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think the speakers before me have already gone ahead and cleared the path and said a lot of things. I want to thank you, first of all, Dr. Ezinne, for having me here. And I'm so happy that I could show up. And I think that should be a virtue in women leaders today, because given the butterflies in my tummy and the short notice, it was very easy to back up and say no. Problem with my network, my laptop, it would have been very easy to say no. So I think that as women, leadership to me is all about creating value and adding value wherever you find yourself. So I want to say 3 hearty cheers to all the women in this place that have showed up, all the women for their resilience, for their hard work, for our mothers, our single moms, our lawyers, our healthcare professionals, our sisters, friends, wives, everybody. And I want to let you all know that you're all valuable and you're all making a difference. Whether anybody tells you that or not, I want you to tell yourself that you are valuable and that you are the value and you are making a difference. And my message today is never underestimate your value, never devalue yourself. You are the value. No matter what happens, no matter the challenges, never devalue yourself. So what is leadership in my own layman simple term? I just said it's all about creating value wherever you are. And also it's all about modeling a lifestyle to retain my enthusiasm on the job, modeling a lifestyle to be able to keep bringing out more and empowering others so that I don't burn out. It's always showing up. It's resilience, it's mentorship, it's holding each other's hands regardless of who the person is. 35 years ago, about 35 years ago, a 20-year-old girl was posted to Rivers State for her National Youth Service Corps to a ramshackle optical center with little or nothing to work with, 3 old men as my manager, optician, and somebody that was in the front room. And the owner of the practice was not resident in Port Harcourt. Then it was very easy to change your posting. I could have said no. I could have looked for somewhere else to go to, but I decided to stay there and add value and to serve in that neighborhood, in that locality, even though I had someone else in a highbrow area of town offering me to drop that job and come work for her. I eventually ended up working with this lovely lady as a part-time youth corper, and I did my bits in my place of primary assignment, and she ended up mentoring me. She ended up bringing out the best in me. She ended up holding my hands where I had limited resources to shine forth. She helped me place my touch. She helped me see that I was valued. She did not judge me. She did not criticize me. She did not belittle me in any way, but rather she was my stepping stone to greater heights. Fast forward 10 years later, I had other bosses. I had male bosses that really encouraged me. But 10 years later, what she gave me was pivotal to where I am today in the private sector, in healthcare, holding my own, running my own eye care practice, a top-notch practice in Port Harcourt, doing my best to ensure that there's equity in the workplace, doing my best to ensure there is equity in the hiring process so that more women are brought in, more women are encouraged to be the best that they could be. I had to hire people that others would never even hire. I can remember a time I hired a lady and people were asking me, why did I put this lady in the front room? But I saw her potentials and I was ready to groom her. And in about a space of 3 months, she was a perfect front room staff. She took calls very well and people had to leave their offices to come see the face of the lady taking their calls with impeccable English. She came hardly speaking very good English, but I held her, I uplifted her and helped her see and become the best that she could be. That was what was done to me. I think that is what leadership is all about. Optometry as a profession is actually, I could say, is a female-dominated profession. So I can't say that there was any gender bias I suffered. It was there, but in other professions in the healthcare field. But when you're busy asserting yourself, when you're busy adding value, when you're busy trying to be a better version of yourself, sometimes you don't see. I'm not saying that those stereotypes are not there. I'm not saying that those discrimination in social and societal norms are not there. But somehow you have to know that you're trying to get from point A to point B. And the onus lies on you to do whatever it takes to move you from point A to point B, no matter the limitations that you face on your way. So the role of mentorship from my senior colleague and collaboration, that's navigating, that's mentorship and I'm trying to networking, that's the word I was looking for. Networking with other senior colleagues in the profession was what prepared me to develop my skill sets. So what I'm saying is that as you move from your comfort zone, be prepared to always move from your comfort zone and be prepared to add more skill sets so that you can be able to go from point A to point B. You are the value. You have a whole lot of visions, plans, goals, talents deposited right inside of you. And you have to harness those gifts, those assignments, so that you'll be able to access the resources that are ahead of you. So capacity development is key. Never be satisfied with your status quo. Never be satisfied with where you are at any point in time. Always aspire to be greater, always aspire to want to go to the next level because there's a vision in every woman and the power of focus, like I said, concentrating on where you want to get to regardless is going to be the push that you need to get yourself to the next level. Never undervalue yourself. I'm happy that Funke talked about the imposter syndrome. Many of us do not acknowledge ourselves. We do not acknowledge our accomplishments. We don't celebrate ourselves. It's easier to find men, celebrating their successes more so than women do. We downplay our values. We downplay what we bring to the table. But leadership is always about bringing something to the table, and you always have something to offer. You are the value. Wherever you find yourself, always remember that you are the value. So you might need to refocus. You might need to change something about yourself. You might need to change your current business, what you're doing right now. Upscale it a little bit. Take it a notch higher to be able to have access to where you really want to go. The stereotypes are there, like I said earlier, but the onus lies on us to, go over those hurdles so that we're not mentally, we're not burnt out, we're not overwhelmed, and we can always continue to give back to society. We'll always continue to empower others. Another thing about, embracing equity in the workplace is, I've talked about owning your own success. I've talked about not passing opportunities. I found out that a lot of us pass opportunities, self-sabotage ourselves. We can't say that because we're in a global marketplace, a male-dominated world, everything is about people sidelining you. Most times we're the ones that, self-sabotage ourselves. And a lot of things can be contributory to that. It could be low self-esteem. It could be your background. It could be where you're coming from. And I want to put it out there that women, we should recognize that we have different seasons in our lives. They're high seasons, they're low seasons. And you need to recognize which season you are for you to be able to scale at that particular time in your life. You're not a superwoman, like my two speakers have already said. You cannot do anything. You cannot do everything. So know your capacity. Know the season. If it's a childbearing age and you need to dedicate more time to childbearing, by all means do that. When it's time for a startup, by all means know how to network and start a business. Know who to meet, know what to put in place. Never downplay your value. In conclusion, because we have more things to talk about in the session, in the panel session, we need to inspire and uplift one another without competition or judgment. Women, sometimes we're our worst enemies. Sometimes we don't encourage each other in the workplace. We don't need to look down on each other. We need to work. There should be that synergy in the workplace, especially for those of us in the corporate world, in the public and in the private sector. I, fortunately, am in the private sector, so I can call my own shots. I can decide to make things better and put better things in place in the hiring process, in giving room for women to be who they were fully, made to be. So we need to uplift and inspire one another without competition. We have to strategize to insert ourselves whenever we feel dejected. And my two speakers before me have already talked about, having strong networks, having a strong network of friends. What do you do after work? Where do you go after work? Who do you hang out with after work? What is your network like? What are they saying to you? What are you listening to? The same thing applies at home. Who are you? Do you have a voice at home? Most of us, most women, have lost their voice from childhood and need to pick it up somewhere along the line. Recognize that you have a voice and you have a right to speak out, both at home and in the workplace. Find a work-life balance unless you'll be burnt out. Like my other speakers have spoken and said that always, if you can afford a cook, get a cook to help you. If you can get a new washing machine, get a new washing machine to make things easier for you. Whatever you can do to keep you going. If you think you need to go to the spa, you need to rest. You're not in competition with anybody but yourself. And you must be a better person for yourself and for others in order to show up in your children's life, in your significant others' lives, and wherever you go and wherever you find yourself. Success is when preparation meets opportunity. You always have to prepare. You want to be the governor. You want to be one of the, you know where you want to go to from A to B. What does it take to get you from point A to B? Start now, start acquiring it. There's certain things in my life I wish I had done earlier. There's certain certifications. You might have read a lot of retinue of, accolades there, but there's certain things I wish I had got earlier in life. Whatever you need to be, have a clear vision, have a clear assignment, have a clear goal of where you want to be, so that you'll be able to negotiate yourself into that position, so that you do not negotiate yourself out of a significant future by not having goals and by not aspiring. So we all know about vision, we know about building our vision, setting our goals, but have that at the back of your mind that you have to be successful. If you want to be successful, you have to be prepared to get to where you want to be. You have to be visible. Visibility, we're going to talk, I think we can talk about that later when we come to talking about, the imposter syndrome or self-sabotage. Try and take up, the first speakers, Dr. Okorocha talked about never saying no. I'm not saying you can't say no, but let no not be your first response when you're called upon to do something. I've learned from that. There was a time in my life, I felt I was very confident. Everything is yes, everything, I can do it. And then at a particular time, I started, letting people do it. If I'm called to do something, I'll feel that, okay, I can get you somebody else that will take my place. You keep saying that, and then at a point in time, you find out that you're just shooting yourself on the foot. You're losing opportunities to shine. So whatever it takes to do that assignment, get prepared, no matter the time. Get the networks, work, and make sure that you can fill up that space. The best of your ability, if you can do that, get prepared and fill up that space. And lastly, let's not play the victim mentality. Let's go of that playing victim. We're not victims. We have a whole lot. We have a low lot deposited in us. Be that entrepreneur you want to be. Success is not all about just career success. If you want to be that cook you've always thought you want to be that cook, be that author, be that caregiver, whatever, be that writer, be that dancer, be that yoga specialist, whatever you want to build that six-pack, whatever you want to do. Don't play victim. Stop looking for excuses. You will always find excuses. Show up at all times. Be visible. Do not relegate your opportunities to others. Do not sell yourself short by hiding behind, the curtains when opportunity calls. And so that is what I would like to end with. I'd like you to type, I am the value. Everybody in the group chats, I am the value. In the chat box, I want everyone to say, I am the value. And I will never downplay my value. Never downplay my value. Your courage, your associations, your network, who you associate yourself with after work, give it a good shot. Give your life a good shot. Give leadership a good shot. And equity and fair play and whatever you have is all yours for the asking. Thank you. God bless.
Wow, 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 wow. Amazing, amazing. Dr. Izini, I will hand over to you in a moment, but Dr. Chinyere, I don't know what to say to you, but you had your own style. You did it your own way, and it's so amazing. And guess what? I was so inspired when she was talking. There was, I was having some short nuggets and I was dropping it down. And I'll just read it out to all of us. Know your capacity. Know your lane. Slay your lane. Stay humble and stay hungry. And this is my summary from everything she said. You know, when she said that she wished that there are some certifications that she would do. And I'm wondering, in fact, I didn't even read half what was sent to me. And I'm wondering, what else can this woman do extra? But that shows that it speaks to the fact that she stays hungry for knowledge. And that's something that resonates with a lot of our speakers as well. I'll hand over to you, Dr. Izine, to take on.
Thank you so much, Amara. Thank you so much. What an impactful past 60 minutes of our time. Thank you so much, Dr. Chineye, and thank you so much, Mrs. Funka Kirimande. Thank you so much, Mrs. Chinyere Okorocha. I mean, my notes is full. If you see it here, like I just kept writing and writing and writing. And I think that before the end of this coaching of this call, I'll put some of the things I wrote down in the chat. We also have people watching live on YouTube. So even after this session, tomorrow next, you can go back and rewatch it on YouTube also. So now we move into the panel session, and I'll just, if you have questions as it pertains to your own unique leadership journey, you can put it down in the chat box and I will take as many as I can. And the ones I can't take, I'm sure they must have done justice to it while they were, speaking in the last 1 hour. Some of the questions I have right here for the panel session have already been answered directly or indirectly by our guest speakers. Thank you so much for being that intuitive. But still, we still have some things to cover. And the first question, I'll be directing it to Mrs. Chinyere Okorocha. I'll be directing it to you. And of course, this year's theme is embrace equity, and that's kind of ambiguous for some people. I know you did justice when you speak it, differentiating what equity means from equality. And you said that without equity, there is actually no equality. And so the question I have for you is, how do you think the theme embrace equity can be applied to our own unique context as women of African descent? Because you agree with me that the challenges we face on this side of the continent is different from what other continents face. And then how do we, if we are saying embrace equity as a roadmap or as a pointer towards gender equality, what is the painted picture of what a gender equal world will look like and married to our context as women of African descent, please?
Okay, thank you for that question, Izine. I used to think that the Western world, that there were all that women's lib, and women divorce at the drop of a hat, and they get away with anything really. But as I grew in my career, I began to understand that some of the issues we face here in Nigeria or in Africa, they also face them. So I will go back to cultural undertones. I vaguely remember a meeting in my village. I'm from Imo State, and a village setting, my parents took us home to the village for Christmas. And all the men were seated on the chairs and the women were all seated on the floor, all huddled together. And they had that family meeting. And there was some young feisty lady who, what they were saying didn't resonate with her. And she almost did as if she wanted to stand up and talk. And the older women pushed her down, and told her, don't talk, you understand? So what I took away from that meeting was that the women are only seen and should not be heard. And those women are the same women that bring up their daughters, and their daughters also will imbibe that principle, or their sons will also notice that principle. It also makes me remember, oftentimes in the African context, when a husband dies, the woman is asked to shave her hair completely, such that she becomes bald. And it's usually the women themselves of the compound that take her into the room and, go beside you if you're if they're the wicked type, they'll use a razor blade even and shave your head such that you'll even have some scars in the process. And I dare say at times, you even hear that if they're really, really a really bad, strong group, they will wash the husband's body and give you the water of the body to drink. Forgive me for this graphic explanation. But I say it to say that the problems for women in Africa are cultural. Then I take us to even the more modern women. As we bring up our daughters in the household, the girl child is brought up to nurture everybody in the house, to be a caregiver, to cook and to clean the house, look after everybody else, while the male child is brought up to be and feel entitled to have his sister waiting on him hands and foot. He doesn't clean or cook, even the toys, we buy them. We buy the girl, the doll house, the feeding bottle, you understand, the napkin set, she's busy taking care of the baby. Then we buy the boy, the gun, the aeroplane, you understand, the car set, zoom, 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 and all that. Totally different mindset. And we grow up like that. I am guilty. I have a vague memory of me telling my younger daughter to look after her brother and telling her what to cook. I had to call myself to order at some point. Even now in my household, my son cooks more than my daughter. So these are the cultural, stereotypical biases that hold women back, because you almost have been given the status of a lesser human being than a man. And just recall with me, my sisters, just a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago, the National Assembly was asked, the gender bill came before them. If I were to just pick out one aspect of what we as women were asking for, that when we marry, if a man marries a French woman, the French woman gets citizenship. And if a Nigerian woman marries a French man, the man does not get citizenship. So the bias is ingrained even in our constitution, and that same constitution says that nobody should be discriminated against in terms of gender, religion, and all whatnot. So how do you marry the two? But the truth of the matter is that in Africa, a woman is a second-class citizen. No matter how educated you are, no matter how women-libby you are, there will be those that when a woman stands up, the men will be wondering, this woman, I have like you in my house. So these are the challenges in the African context. And I mean, there have been so many conferences where we're talking about this gender inequality. And I was listening to Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala earlier today, and she said, I think it was either the UN or the global economic indices say that it will take 132 years for the gender gap to be closed. 132 years, really? So even as I speak now, I have forgotten the second half of your question, but suffice it to say that the journey is long, and we can only continue to strive. Because the same people that we're saying, or we that are asking for this gender equality and equity, are we really, really ready for men and women to be treated exactly the same? I'm a woman, I'm not a woman leader. I love being female. But I just want there to be a level playing ground. I want to be able to have the resources at my disposal based on my needs, and not have my male counterparts chosen above me when it suits them just because I'm a woman. But in saying that, can we really pick and choose the parts that we want? Recently, again, I was speaking somewhere, and it occurred to me when I was doing research that societal norms suggest that the man is the breadwinner, in quotes, and he's the strongest sex, and he's a problem solver and all that, or whatnot, that any conversation around wanting to achieve equity and indeed ultimately equality has to recognize that our ask affects the men too, because we need to be careful so that men don't lose their sense of identity, even in this quest for gender equality, that we don't emasculate the men in the process and make them less than men, because we'll be the ones that will turn around and complain that he's not acting like a man. So my sisters, the conversations are deep. The solutions are multifaceted. You understand? The discussions can take any turn whatsoever, but baby steps is what I'll say. We need to take baby steps and tackle each problem one at a time to get us to the promised land. And I think that equity might just be the best place to start. That we have equal access to finance. If you look at the statistics, they're dismal. You know, nobody wants to give women money. You know, top managerial positions in the. I mean, the statistics. I had them written down somewhere. I was going to read them out, but there's no point. So these are just some of the issues. I guess I hope that puts some perspective on it.
Thank you so much. It really did put some perspective. And while you were speaking, and you gave that statistic of 132 years before the gender gap closes. I mean, that's a lot. It's almost very discouraging. But like you said, baby steps. And then what I also heard you say is the importance of, you know, using the home front to start this movement of gender equality, gender fairness. So we should start inculcating values in the girl child as well as the male child.
The male child, yes, both of them.
Equity, fairness, both of them. So you see that if both of them know these things, they can apply to themselves. And when they go out to the society or in their classrooms or in secondary schools, they can also share this value with others. And then it becomes a fire that lights up one person to the other. And that's how we cause this change. 132 years may look very huge and humongous, but I feel like you said, start with baby steps. A follow-up question to this, I just got that in the chat box, and I just want you to handle it before I move to the next panelist. And somebody said, you mentioned that you got the males in your space, especially at work, to advocate for you. And I also align that with what you just said. It's not like we're going to emasculate them. It does not mean that they're not important. It's just that we should find a way how we all can work towards a common goal. So it is not us against them. It is the entire human race against inequality. And so she's asking, can you tell us a bit on how you went about getting the males to advocate for you?
Okay, thank you very much for that interesting question. So I believe that there's a likability factor that is very important when women are attempting to climb the career ladder or go into leadership or enter the C-suite roles. There is a likability factor. You have to be aware of the fact that you kind of need people to like you. Especially because of the biases that we naturally have against us. So I'm that kind of person that I get along with almost everybody, or there's nobody that I can't get along with or I can't associate with. And that character trait has helped me a lot in my career because I'm able to enter rooms where maybe other people may have difficulty, or I can ask of people who other people may have difficulty asking of. And I always come from the place of, I don't know it all. And so I was very deliberate earlier on in my career that I wanted to succeed. As you see me, so I have traveled to 32 countries in the world during my career, and I have looked and studied women in leadership. And these women in leadership, there are certain traits that I can see. I went for conferences all over the world I see the interaction between male and female. And it became very clear to me earlier on that this race, this my race up the career ladder, only women alone can't do it, because sometimes, and a lot of the time, women are not in the room when the conversations or decisions are being made. And therefore, if I knew I wanted to climb, which I did, I needed to have these advocates, people that will speak for me when I'm not in the room. And they happen to be men. So, you know, it happens naturally sometimes. Like Mrs. Chinyere said, it's all about the value you bring to the table. So when you're trying to create a network, which I advocate for, or say every female professional must have a good professional network, it's about what you can do for them and not what they can do for you. If you start from a position of bringing value to the table, if you see a need they may have, you try and plug it, information that they may have, or a school your child went to, you give them the information about it, give them a contact they may need, help their wife to do something, you know, that kind of thing. That is how you start adding value. Unconsciously, the person will feel like they need to repay you at some point, or they need to be in your corner, you know. So adding value is the first step before you even start asking for anything. And before you ask, you must have planted. It's like a seed you plant in the ground. You don't reap the result immediately. A seed takes time to grow. That seed will require sunlight. It will require water. It will require good soil. It may even require manure. So it is with cultivating and nurturing relationships. You're going to need to nurture it. And the nurturing is these things I've talked about, giving them connections, helping them with information, looking for a need they may have. You understand? Things like that are what you eventually get to the place where you become trusted. And I tell you, you may not even need to ask if an opportunity arises where they're looking to plug a gap. You'll be the, you know, the obvious choice. So I hope that helps.
So good, so good, so good. And I hear you clearly. I think it's the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think that's Jim Covey that spoke on the emotional bank and how that we should deposit, and that our withdrawal should be at least 1/4, you know, of our deposit. So you deposit more than you withdraw.
That
so
you take out.
From an empty account.
Absolutely.
And the way you were talking, I don't know why I just had, my sister is a lawyer, and I remember that then when she was, you know, in her law firm, sometimes at night she would be like, I'm just drawing this brief for my colleague. He had a difficulty with it, so I just decided to help him with some research, and I'll give it to him on Monday morning. That's just the picture that just came into my mind. And
absolutely.
So when you go in, you keep looking for ways to add value. And then when that time comes for a withdrawal, you may not even need to ask for a withdrawal before it's handed to you. So we'll reiterate what Dr. Chinewere said and what Mrs. Chinewere said. Be a person of value wherever you go, in the home front. And the same applies to even the home front. Because when we talk about getting the man to advocate for us, I feel like the most important man to advocate for us is our spouse. And so you don't want to draw from an account that you have not invested in. So the mandate of value, the lesson of value, you know, just spans across boards, the home front, the workspace, social circles. You know, you must be a person of value. Thank you so much, Mrs. Chinyere, for doing justice to that question. I hope you got your answer, Dr. Gabriel. My next question goes to Mrs. Fumi Akirimade. And as I'm speaking to the panelists, if you also have something to add, after one panelist has finished speaking, something that you think would be of value, please do indicate, and then we'll spotlight you and you add what you have to add. And so my next question is, what structures and what systems or policies can we begin to push for that will allow more women to ascend or sit on leadership roles, more leadership roles, as it's vis-a-vis our male counterparts? How can we drive the change for a new narrative by our collective action and shared ownership? And why I say by our collective action is that nobody can do it alone. So, and just before we came on this point, you know, we're discussing and saying that if we don't show equity to our own selves, then we have no moral standing to ask the other gender or the world at large to show us equity. So how can we drive this new narrative as it pertains to gender equity and gender equality and allowing women to sit on more leadership roles by our collective action and shared ownership?
Thank you so much. That's a wonderful question. What I is that I think the first thing is there's a need for women to come together. So a platform like this, I think, is a wonderful thing because really, there's that adage that says, if you want to go far, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go very far, go with people. So I think that for us to drive any policy, there has to be a collaboration. Women need to come together with common belief and with common goal to drive the bill. I think that even that bill that was not passed, the question was, how many women were even aware of the bill? How many women spoke up about the bill? How many women are making their voices loud and to be heard? So a lot of women are still in their little corners and doing their own stuff. But if we all come together and stand together as women, the difference between a man and a woman is the fact that men actually look after themselves and they pull themselves. So when you see men gathering there, when women hang out, right, they're sharing business ideas, they're networking and sharing the next deal. When women gather, what are we discussing? Let's ask ourselves. What are we discussing? What are we pushing for? So I think that the starting point will be collaboration. What groups do you belong to? Mrs. Chinyere talks about it. What network do you belong to? In your do you belong to any society? Because that's where we can make the difference. Like in the education industry, if I have an idea, I can't push it by myself. I have to go under the umbrella of the industry. And how am I playing in that industry? Do I add value? Do I show up? Do I have a voice? Because if you stay in your corner and you're trying to change things, you can't move anything. We have to, come together and drive whatever it is that we want to drive. So the starting point will be collaboration. Second point will be that we need to, identify the gaps. Because if we identify the gaps we have as women leaders, then we're able to push the agenda. So what are the, common gaps that we identify as women leaders? I talk about the imposter syndrome. I think that one resonates with every woman. But guess what? Very few women too are able to speak up and say, I do have imposter syndrome. We like to feel and pose for ourselves. We're not going to make any headway if we're not being authentic. There's the call for authentic leadership. There's a power, exactly, and there's the power of storytelling. How are women sharing their story? How are they telling the younger ones about their failures and what they did to leverage to get to success? So I think that the conversation has to happen we have to move beyond our little corners to bigger corners and collaboration, and then identifying the gaps, and then we can begin to push the policies.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much, Ma. And what I got out from what you just said is collaboration. And I have a follow-up question for you because collaboration is so important. In fact, the reason why I can have Mrs. Fumi on this call, the reason why I can have the Pachine Waneri on this call, the reason why I can have Mrs. Chinyere Okorocha on this call is, just fit into that one word called collaboration and showing up where I needed to show up. If I didn't show up, I wouldn't meet any of these people on this call. So the follow-up question is this: what are the drawbacks that stop women from collaborating? And I want to highlight one. Women, they say we're very emotional beings, and most of the time our emotions actually, how do I put it? Our emotions are stumbling blocks, between us and where we want to be because we emotionalize everything. And so you see somebody on Instagram that you should collaborate with or in the social space, and you're already over analyzing how the person didn't talk to you the other day, or the person looked at you this way. And then so there's this thing. So I just want you to address that thing about women that stops them from, taking the next step and say, I need to collaborate with you. I need you to come on this work with me. I don't know everything. and you are good in this space. Can you come and let us collaborate together? And how we can rise above that negative part of our emotions, or how we can manage our emotions to serve our purpose. I think that's a better put.
Very good question, isn't it? I think I would say that I think the first thing would be the fact that we're not real. So women are not real. We're not real to ourselves. So that, you are overposing. And maybe we're not also hungry enough. Yes, we're not enough. Because when you're hungry, you care less. So I'll share my story. I remember when I came back from, Oman, and I was trying to ask my school. I asked somebody, I said, which is the best school in Nigeria? And the school Grange came up, I didn't know where Grange was. I was in Port Harcourt. Grange is a school in Lagos. I flew from Port Harcourt to Lagos to ask to see the head of school of Grange. I don't know her from anywhere, but I heard she was a fantastic head of school. And she did give me an appointment. But guess what? When I got to the school, she was not there. She gave me an appointment, but she was not there. Apparently, she fell sick. But I was not perturbed. I knew what I wanted to do. So I waited for the weekend, and then she asked me to come to her house. I went to her house and I shared my dream. And the rest, they say, is history. She became my mentor. She had held me. And it shortened my journey because she was an experienced administrator and experienced head of school. So what am I saying? I didn't go feeling like I know it all. I humbled myself. I was ready to go under her tutelage. I was ready to identify that she could mentor me. So I think that more women need to identify mentors and see it through. I think one of the issues we also have is sharing with the young, I'm not throwing shades at anybody, but sometimes people just don't follow through, Like I had somebody I was mentoring recently. In fact, she changed the appointment like 3 times. By the 4th time, I canceled. I told her I was not ready. And I said to her that until you demonstrate that you are true, because it was free. So I'm in another group where they were appointing mentees to mentors, and she came to me. But in fact, they told me, oh, don't worry, don't contact her, she will contact you. Each time I went to the administrator, I've not heard from this girl. Say, don't worry, 3 times. I had to go back to the administrator and say, is this girl serious? Say, don't worry, she will come. But then she contacted me. She had flimsy excuses. And I said, you're not hungry enough. If you're truly hungry, you will, no matter what is, in fact, you will keep knocking on that door until that person opens the door. As long as you recognize that that person carries value and you can leverage on that person's experience. Because the truth is, we've made some mistakes. As Dr. Chiri was saying something about she wished she could do some things. So imagine her mentoring somebody and sharing things that she would have loved to do at that point in her life, but she didn't have the opportunity. So I think that identifying and accepting your gaps and being hungry enough to want to fix the gaps will sort the problem.
Oh, so good, so good. Thank you so much. And I would like to just say something. And most women have told themselves that they do not have the capacity to hear no. And I feel like we need to debunk that myth. It is very possible that you can meet somebody and the person says no. So we all need to build that inner resilience that saying no to an invitation to collaboration doesn't mean that they are saying no to your person. And that's where schooling ourselves, we need to be solid in our sense of identity. Because if you don't school yourself with a deep sense of identity, anybody that tells you anything will make you start doubting yourself, and then you just renegade on your future simply because she said no. Therefore, I'm not meeting all these people. That's how they are. All of them are like that. But my pastor will say, what you need, I already know. Like what you need, I'm not looking for it. I know it, so you pay the price. And I want to say a story. So the first time Mrs. Mrs. Fumi met, she told me I should call her at a particular time. So she said, I'll be at dinner, so call me, something, I'll have dinner, and so call me. Men and brethren, okay, there's no man here. I set an alarm. Immediately she told me, I set an alarm 1 hour to the time, 30 minutes to the time. As for the time, as it just hits, my alarm went off. And I called her. And when I was telling her on the call, she said, you are my kind of person. And she just kept saying, this is my kind of person. And so where we are, and it's going to take me to my next question though, but the need for mentors, career sponsors in leadership, as we ascend the ladder of leadership, cannot be overemphasized. But then there's even a greater need for the mindset of the 21st century mentee Do you see? So my next question now goes to Dr. Chineye Waneri, and that's because when you were talking, you spoke about somebody who mentored you, who you went to, and you sat under her mentorship. So my next question to you, Ma, is what is the importance of mentors, career sponsors on our career journey, on our journey to leadership? What is the importance of mentors and the importance of career sponsors? And how do we position ourselves as mentors? Number two. Number three, what is your personal criteria for engaging somebody in your own mentorship circle? I'll also allow, after Dr. Chineye has answered that, I would like Mrs. Chineye Okorocha to add something to that because she runs a career mentorship program, circle community. And I want to know, what is it, everybody that just comes for mentorship you accept, or are there certain criteria as to who and who you accept into your mentorship circle, just to avoid a display of mediocrity? Dr. Chineye, please, the question is for you. Could somebody help me? Did she go off?
Hello. I'm here. Can you?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Your question again, Dr. Ezinne, please.
What is the role of mentors and career sponsors? You know, you talked about a mentor that helped you on your journey, who didn't criticize you, who held your hands, who believed in you, who spoke you into the future that you had seen. So I'm asking, in today's time and age, what is the role of mentors and career sponsors? And what is your own personal criteria for bringing on new mentors, mentees, into your circle? Because, you know, a lot of people, and I know they are not on this call, have democratized what I call mediocrity. And so people see mentorship or getting mentors as some sort of social clout, where they say, this person is my mentor. She has a good bio, so she will look good on me, right? But we don't also know that the mentors are also looking for mentees that will look good on them. So what is your criteria? How important is it now?
Well, mentorship, like I said, is pivotal to career advancement. It's pivotal to, advancement in different trajectories of your life. Your marriage trajectory, your personal development trajectory, your spiritual growth, and all areas. I think women, we need to learn to appreciate one another and work with one another. I have different mentors. You might not even know you're mentoring me. You can mentor somebody from a distance. I have one or two people mentoring me that are younger than me from a distance. I have to see your content. I have to see what you have to offer. I have to listen to your mindset, and it has to resonate with me to a great extent. It has to be able to fill up a gap or a need in either my private life, my social life, my marriage, my professional life. So there's so many criteria. Just like when you're hiring somebody, there are different criteria too for hiring people. You want to see that the person can hold their own, the person is self-motivated and can be, or says they're self-supervising and can be that way too. So that also applies to mentorship. It's really sad that most women allude to saying that they don't have enough female mentors, but I don't think it is true. Right now, thanks to high tech, you can get mentored online. You can get mentored on YouTube. You can get mentored through podcasts. You can subscribe to people's channels. You can even get psychological help through mentorship. So it's somebody that has gone through your path, and that a path that you desire, a pathway you desire to go through, that you latch onto and say, yes, I want to hold their garment, mentor me. I want to learn this, I want to learn that. So there are different pathways for mentorship. It's really essential for growth, for advancement, and it's like a shortcut. What you would have learned on your own from your experiences in 10 years, under great mentorship, you pick that up in a month or even in a course. You should be ready. Just like in eye care, I tell people, spend money for your eyes. You will never get another pair. Take care of your eyes. People want to go to the market and get lenses cheap. cut lenses. Mentorship, be ready to pay for mentorship. Online, there are courses that are available to women that are building the capacities of women world over. Be ready to sacrifice. Stay under someone's tutelage. Don't mind whether the person is older than you or younger than you. As long as you get what you need to get and move on. That's why I was saying there's so many things I would have learned earlier. I probably have learned them now, but I know where I would have been if I had stood on the wings or the courage of a mentor like 10 years back. I know where I would have been right now. So mentorship is a shortcut, and, you know, feel free to call me or inbox me or whatever to know my own processes and procedures for mentorship. If it's career-wise, I allow people to work with me, and isn't it, you've worked with me before and all that. When you work with me, you'll enjoy yourself. You will grow because I will let you grow. You know, you will grow because I will allow you to learn from best practices, to learn from your mistakes, my own mistakes in leadership, because I've had a lot of leadership mistakes that I don't hide them. I expose them. So people think that I don't have trade secrets, but there's nothing like trade secrets when you want to mentor somebody. There's nothing like this person is going to end up being better than me, because that is what we aspire, to have more women in the line, to have more women in top positions, in government positions. We have more women flying planes. We have more women being heads of states. It's from that your little mentorship, even to the girl child that has been assigned to you as a house help, if you're still, you know, having young people to take care of. Your duty is to mentor that child to be somebody, because whatever you sow is what you're going to reap, but maybe it might not be in that capacity. So it's right for us to open our mouths and search the internet and, you know, call on people to help you. There's a saying that goes, a closed mouth is a closed destiny. I don't know who said that, but open your mouth and, you know, don't be afraid. And then another thing I want to say, a lot of women are going through a lot of women, and cannot open up and cannot, you know, they feel intimidated, like my sister Funke said, to open up till they see something in you that shows that you are open. So always be there. Don't think that you have it all. Don't portray that have it all. Just like I like the way Dr. Chinyere Okorocha has been saying, she doesn't know it all. And be approachable, because you don't know what has been deposited in you that somebody that is just coming to you needs. So try to be approachable at the same time. So people are going through so much, and they need to share their burdens without fear or judgment. Women are limited by a lot of discriminatory, norms. We're there to help and lift each other up. Men also can advocate for us. We have, like you said, our husbands can advocate for us. And a man can also be your mentor. You can choose who you want to be your mentor. So, you know, get involved. Like I said, where do you go after work? What do you do? Do you spend all the hours on internet browsing and just, you know, moving through people's profiles or on Instagram? Or are you learning something? Are you under someone's tutelage? Are you, you know, developing your skill sets for the next level? So thank God for digital technology. It has taken us far and wide. So be able to, you know, learn things, be able to be mentored from directly and from afar. Feel free to come to somebody and ask for their mentorship, and also make yourself accessible to people so that we can have more women. That's what we're talking about, equality. Equality is an index to rate. I hear that the equality, what do you call it? The index in Nigeria is 0.3. That is quite low. We really need to do a lot to bring in women into the system, bring them into the workplace, encourage them to be the best they can be. And I think that's what mentorship is all about. I don't know if I've answered that question well, but I'm sure somebody else can do justice to that.
Yeah, so good. So good. Thank you, Dr. Chinyere. And just to add to what you said, what I hear you say is that the importance of mentorship cannot be overemphasized. You don't need to meet somebody, face to face before you come under that person's mentorship. Because I see a lot of people, and it really doesn't work. After a meeting, you're running after women and say, please take my card, or can I have your card? I want to come under your mentorship. Meanwhile, that person has podcasts, has books, you have never for one came on their call, you have not attended any calls, you have not read any of their books, you have not been exposed to any of their knowledge or their sources, the knowledge space where they share their knowledge, and you are saying, I want to be your mentor, I want you to be my mentor. I want to be your mentee. I mean, that's very abysmal if you ask me. And then you were saying about something, and what I hear you say is about authentic leadership. If more women can, be more vocal about what they've been through in their homes, in their businesses, in their emotions, mental health, and such that these things are not necessarily sounded as taboos, a lot of other young people who are coming up will say, okay, somebody like this went through it, and if she went through it and came out of it, therefore I can come out of it. And it also gives them, elevates their voice, causing them to speak, because somebody has gone ahead of them to speak. So it calls for authentic leadership and telling your own unique story. I heard a coach of mine say, and she said that she doesn't trust leaders that do not have scars. If as a leader you don't have a scar, then your leadership is very suspicious. It means that everything is perfect. So if you're gunning for mentors, you want to look for leaders that have their own unique stories, authentic realities, and not afraid to share them. And so we have about, I think just 1 minute we'll have, but because of, let's just shift it, we'll just round up at 8:10 on the dot. And that means I'll have like three minutes for each of the speakers to just say what they, like a closing speech for 3 minutes, and then we're done. But I have a final question, and I'll be directing it to Mrs. Chinyo Okorocha. And the question goes as follows. How important is mastering the art of negotiation as we ascend the ladder of leadership? How can we grow mastery in negotiation? Because when it comes to our male counterparts, they are brutal when it comes to negotiation. But we as women often circumvent ourselves from opportunities just because we can't sit down on a round table, look eyeball to eyeball, and insist that we be treated a certain way, or that we be handed some rules, or that we be given a corner office, or that we be, handed travel allowance, or, those kind of things. So how important is the art of negotiation, and how can we master this art as we ascend the ladder of leadership?
All right, thank you for that question. I'm going to quickly just add to the conversation around mentorship from afar. Earlier on in my career, maybe 32 years ago, there was some woman, a female lawyer that worked in an adjoining office to where I was. And she was so well put together. She was yellow, fair and tall, nice shoes. She used to carry this female briefcase. That's when I got to know about female briefcase. And she always used to wear skirts and then different shirts, all those TM Lewin type shirts. And I just loved the way she looked, the way she carried herself. And when she would come for a meeting in my office, I'll just be looking at her. They should be talking. People were listening to her. And, humbly, with every sense of humility, I guess I look pretty, as people say. But it was very important to me that I'm not a dumb blonde when I was very early on. And I used to refer to that woman that I really, really want to be like her when I grow up. She looks good. She's tall, fair, yellow, fine, dresses well, and she speaks. And when she's speaking, all the men will be listening because she's talking sense. And very early in my mind, I had that in my psyche that I needed to be good at my craft, not just to be a pretty face, or a dumb blonde as it were. So yes, people can definitely mentor you from afar. I run a mentorship program for smart female professionals. It's called Heels and Ladders, where I help female professionals climb or scale the career ladder. And one of the things I always tell them is that you must have a mentor. It's either you have a one-on-one relationship with somebody, or you choose somebody whose life is like the one you like. You understand? There are things they've done, they've achieved the things you want to achieve. Then go and read their history. Go and read it. The internet, everything is there. And then emulate, see how their career trajectory has been. Emulate the things you like there. Throw away the ones that don't resonate with you. But it has to be authentic to you. Choose the things that resonate with you and make them your own. So yes, people can mentor you from afar. They mustn't necessarily be that one-on-one relationship as a person. You understand? I want you to be my mentor. I want you to be my mentor. No, it doesn't work like that. You know, so I just thought to add that to the other question. So what you asked me about negotiation, yes, negotiation is acquiring the skill is very important when you're trying to be going to leadership or indeed grow up your career ladder. And the truth of the matter is men and women negotiate differently in the workplace. And there's certain limitations placed on women because when women negotiate, this is research that all them Harvard and Co have done, that when women negotiate on behalf of themselves, they get penalized for it. It's called backlash. And that's why a lot of women don't want to ask for anything where we've been trained. You know that training, I said how they train the girl child. We've been trained to be nurturers, to be givers. You're looking after everybody else. And I dare say, as we're looking after everybody else, we forget to look after ourselves. Then there's the thing about the superwoman. You understand, you will cook, you will clean, you will do the homework, you will do school run. You know, and your husband just goes to work and comes back and that's it. And so when you now start acting counter-stereotypical, that is those traditional roles kept for women, and you're no longer to penalize you too. You know, so you have to acquire these negotiation skills. And there are two schools of thought in relation to negotiation. Some people say good negotiators are born and not made, whilst another group of people say that good negotiators are made and not born. So that means some people are so good with negotiation naturally, like my daughter, who is a master negotiator and knows how to, you know, knock heads together between me and my husband when she wants something. Nobody sent her to school to learn how to do that. We'll be tired if she wants something. She will get it. You understand? She will get people to come and wear you down, you know, be on her best behavior and all that. But research has shown that when people actually undergo certain negotiation training, they become better at it. So some ways that we can negotiate, I take a class of negotiation. That's why, you know, I have a women's leadership course. I'm an external facilitator. So we just have to, there's certain tactics that you can deploy that help you with your negotiation. And one of the biggest ones is to negotiate on behalf of a group and try not to negotiate on behalf of yourself. And what do I mean by that? I really mean that if you're now in an organization and perhaps you want your salary to go up, you go to your boss and negotiate on behalf of the people behind you so that you know for a fact that if their salary goes up, yours will go up too. You know, that's just one of them. There's so many of them that you can deploy. But yes, negotiation is an important, it's critical, you know, because we women, we're so emotional. You know, you don't even articulate your thoughts properly, then you've started crying and all that, you know. So we also say that you have to keep your emotions in check when you're trying to negotiate, you know, but learn the skill is something that will really help you. There is a place for it definitely in leadership, in career growth, in any woman who is trying to advance in their career. But there are written down ways that you should go about it. And you can chat me up later, you know, to share some more on that topic. But in the interest of time, I will leave it there for now.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Chinyere. Thank you. Please, we'll put their handles on the chat box so they can follow. She runs a career mentorship circle, you know, called Hills and Ladders, and she's doing awesome work, really, really awesome work. So if you're a career professional or you're in any leadership organization, you want to be in that mentorship circle. So I think her Instagram handle is Chi Okorocha, Chi underscore Okorocha. So you can send me a message and do due diligence to enter mentorship circle. So one final word from the remaining two panelists before we call it a wrap. Thank you so much. We have about 2 minutes, so 1 minute each, and then we'll call it a wrap. Mrs. Funke Akirimande, please, just one final word. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What an evening. I have learned so much. Absolutely. I came here as a panelist. I'm going back with loads of information. Absolutely. So thank you to Mrs. Chinyere Okorocha, fantastic delivery. And to Dr. Chinyere, all the Chinyeres in the house. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ezinne, for inviting me. I've had a wonderful time. And to all the ladies on the call, it's been an awesome time. Lots of nuggets. I mean, you carry value. So I will leave you with a charge. Step out, show up, and make an impact because you can. You deserve a seat at the table. Go find your seat.
Wow, thank you. You deserve a seat at the table. She said, go find your seat, meaning that your seat will not be handed to you. You need to find it out, create it, and sit down on that table. Thank you so much. I'm taking that with me. I think I need to print it and put it by my office wall. Thank you. Dr. Chine, one final word, and then we'll call it a wrap. While they're giving their final words, please, I want your reactions in the chat room. Was this time well spent? Did we waste your time? What value did you get? Your light bulb moments? Let the chat box just be buzzing. Give me emojis. Let me know what it looks like, what you've experienced this evening. Okay, Dr. Chinaya, please.
Let me put it out there for wonderful women. It's been so nice to be on this panel with very smart women, Dr. Chinyere Okorocha, Dr. Funke. Thank you so much I have also learned a lot, and I'd like to have more collaborations with you guys in the future. But what I want to put out to our wonderful women is, you're all wonderful, like I've been saying over and over again. You all are unique in your various ways, but most importantly, you are the value. Never underestimate your value in the workplace, in the home front, and wherever you find yourselves. Never self-sabotage. Always carry confidence with you. Confidence is a learned skill. You can learn to be confident. You can learn to be assertive. You can always find your voice in a male-dominated world. You must teach your girls to find their voices in a male-dominated world. I would like my daughter not only to enjoy her career, but to be admired for everything she has accomplished. So make sure we get our daughters and our sons to be admired for whatever they have accomplished. And then go into politics, women. Be out there, be visible, go into the network, go into government, go into every space that you can find yourself. It's women in the National Assembly that voted that bill. They were almost at par, but women were more of the voters that brought that bill that came to the bill that came to be passed. It was because they were out there. So please never underestimate your value. I've spoken for more than 1 minute, and always be out there. Always be out there. Put your foot on the gas pedal and don't look back. You're wonderful women. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It has been an awesome evening, and I just want to say thank you again, Dr. Chimamanda. Thank you so much, Chinyere Okorocha. I love you so much, Ma. Thank you, Mrs. Funke Akirimande. I love you. I love you. I love you. I disturb her.
Thank you, everybody.
Sometimes. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you very, very much. Before you leave, the Whole Woman Network is a collective of future forward women. And the reason why we exist is to help women live and fulfilling life. We believe that a woman can have it all if she can only understand her seasons and what to tone down in each season and what to emphasize in the other season. So we are advocates for women owning their voice in
I guess we can drop off, right? I think the organizers, maybe their internet has gone off because they're not here anymore. Okay, they're back.
All right.
What happened? Zine, you're muted. Can we, Liberty, permission to drop out?
Okay, yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Can we go?
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened to my network. But thank you so much everyone for showing up on this call. And if you want to join our community, we're on Facebook as the Whole Woman Network. And on Instagram, you can also follow us as the Whole Woman Network. Thank you so much, Mrs. Chinyere, for this sacrifice. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. God bless you, and bless you. Have a wonderful evening and happy International Women's Day again. And remember, embrace equality. Can we all do that? If you have your cameras on.
Embrace equity.
Equality. Equality. Embrace equity. Do have a wonderful evening and a wonderful week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Enjoy your evening. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.